tell us about your work with tribal governments?
Oh, okay. I've worked with tribal governments for about 30 years. I started in San Diego with the Sequan tribe. But what's memorable for me about working with American Indian tribes is the opportunities I've been given. Because sometimes it's a matter of being at the right place at the right time. And because of that, I was able to write the first address by a tribal leader for the California State Legislature. And that just happened to be, in the room when it happened, sort of thing. And I was also there when they needed to organize a public protest on the steps of the Justice Department in downtown LA. And this was to help protect their gaming rights. It was the largest American Indian protest in the state of California's history outside of the occupation of Alcatraz. We had 5,000 people in the streets. It was an amazing, but it just happened to be working with the tribes, and we were working on these issues, and the opportunity came up, and they said, "Say, we need you to get this organized." So it's extraordinary, and I've learned a lot about Native American people in the process. I had not worked with tribes. In fact, I tried to talk the Sequan tribe out of hiring me. I didn't feel I was qualified. So I had yet to learn about things like tribal sovereignty, about the women and children's issues that are prevalent in Indian country. I didn't know any of those things, so I kind of had to be taught. It was a great opportunity.
Why is it important to you to advocate for women?
I'm going to look something up here. Women are 51% of the population, 70% of the poor, 83% of single parents, doing 66% of the work, producing 50% of the food, and earning just 11% of the pay, and only owning 1% of the land. So if you're wondering why it's so important to advocate women, those would all be the statistics that would tell you why.
Who inspires you?
Let me think about this. A whole lot of other women, ranging from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Gloria Steinem, to people right here in the Valley who I think are remarkable women. Kathleen Sterling, who operates the 5 major newspapers in the San Fernando Valley. Miri Rosito, who owns a communications company here in the Valley. Remarkable individual, embodies everything you would want to see in a woman leader. There are just so many women that inspire me for different reasons at different times.
Could you share how you worked with the CD2 office in uplifting local small businesses?
Oh my gosh. I think I first worked with the Dreen in recognizing small business. It was a small business breakfast, and then worked with the office in terms of nominating people who would be recognized that year by the Small Business Administration. And one of those was actually a locally owned business, Lucy's Mediterranean Cafe. And she was honored one year thanks to a Dreen.
What's the most important factor in the success of your firm?
Persistence. Persistence. That comes to mind first and foremost. Being committed to something, doing something you really like. I'm really lucky. Very early in my career, I figured out that I really liked being an advocate. So that was, I was really lucky in that regard.
What challenges does a woman-founded and owned business face, and what are the advantages?
Well, let's talk about disadvantages first. I think primarily for women-owned businesses, and I'm thinking of a friend of mine, Armida Colmenero Stafford. Armida is a banker with Pacific Premier Bank, and she's advocated on behalf of women-owned businesses for decades. And she would tell you capital funding, getting money to start a business, is very difficult for women in particular. I think fighting stereotypes is another. Those are some of the disadvantages. Some of the advantages, I think, are the willingness of other women to help you and support you, and I've certainly had a lot of that, so that's one of the advantages.
What has been your most memorable work experience in the Valley?
There's a lot of them. I'd have to say working with Paul Krikorian's office during COVID. There were a number of crises that all were part of the COVID epidemic. One of them was seniors who were shut-ins who couldn't get food. And Paul's office, together with the mayor's office, has set up a program with the Department of Aging. And what they did is they selected restaurants throughout the valley that could provide low-cost meals. And they then contracted with the city cab services. Did you know about this? Yeah, they contracted with the city cab services to deliver the food. So we were fortunate that Lucy was one of the companies selected, and over the course of what started as like a month-to-month project ended up being somewhere around 14 months, and she did something like 70,000 meals. And so in the early days, I was doing everything from serving as a liaison with the Department of Aging to actually delivering meals. So it was an extraordinary experience.
How did you first meet Councilmember Nazarian?
That would have been 2012, and I met him through another remarkable woman, Asta Chris, who was a longtime activist in the Valley on a variety of issues. And she was it was his first run for the state assembly. And that's how I met him, was at a fundraiser in Asta's home.
Has your firm engaged with the local community in any other ways?
Oh my gosh. Over the 20 years that I've been in the Valley, I've had the privilege of working with the United Chambers of Commerce. I served as president for the Encino Chamber of Commerce and oversaw the merger between the Encino Chamber and the Sherman Oaks Chamber. Worked with a variety of different organizations on different projects, but that's what springs to mind.
Do you have any advice for young women who are trying to start their own business or breaking into the PR industry?
I would say look for role models, because I think getting to know or follow women who are doing the kinds of things you like to do or that you admire is a great way to get started. I know that I've had a number of role models over the years that I've either gotten to know or picked up the phone, even though I didn't know them, and said, what do you think about this? Or how do you think I should approach this particular issue? So I think having role models is essential. And I think not hesitating to reach out and ask for help if you don't know something. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got, someone said, what's the best piece of advice you can give someone coming into public relations? They said, learn the answer I don't know, and then go find the answer. And that gave me the confidence to say, hey, I really don't understand this, but let me do some research. So yeah.
And then could you share your experience with Los Angeles Valley College and the Valley Glen Neighborhood Association?
Okay, let me think. I started with the Valley Glen Neighborhood Association, I want to say 2007. I worked with them for about 7 years. And they were sort of one of the original groups that was part of the Valley secession movement. And a lot of that was just local neighborhood projects, an annual family festival, that kind of thing. And through that, I was introduced to LA Valley College. I had the privilege of working with Erica Endrogenis at the time, who was president. Now, there's a great role model. That woman she's now heading up Pasadena City College system. And served on 2 committees for Valley College, one of them being I think it's called the Citizens Building Oversight Committee, which was helping to give community feedback on all of the building projects that came out of the bond measures.